Welcome, fellow humans! Today I'm going to tell the story of how I did science while foolishly ignoring a medical emergency. Not the brightest thing I've ever done. One day in my 20s, I woke up and the world looked off. It wasn't just my usual I haven't put my glasses on yet, but I couldn't quite tell what was wrong. So I looked at the world with just my left eye, and then I tried looking at the world with just my right eye. And I could tell what the problem was. My left eye was normal. Well, normal, correctable with glasses. And my right eye had a big black circle where the central vision should have been. I could not see anything at all in the central part of my vision of my right eye. This was worrisome. I did know this was a serious problem, but I didn't think it was something I needed to act on right that moment. I thought to myself, okay, I've temporarily lost vision in my right eye. This is possibly a weird migraine. I've had so many migraines, and migraines can do weird visual things, but it's probably my first symptom of multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis runs in my family, and I had a family member who was about the age I was then when he got his first big symptom and his diagnosis. So it would not have been at all surprising if that's what it was, if I now had multiple sclerosis. And obviously that meant I would have to talk to a doctor, there would have to be tests, we'd have a discussion about treatment options. Multiple sclerosis is a serious medical condition, but I didn't think that I needed to do anything about a possible multiple sclerosis attack immediately. I figured I could go about my day and I'd have to set up a doctor's appointment and all of that, but I could just wait a bit and let the vision come back. So that's what I did. And I thought about the fact that the central vision in the right eye was all missing, and what that meant, because I had been taught in psychology class how the typical human eye works, how you have a whole bunch of cones in the center of the eye, and they have good sharp vision, and they're good in daylight, and they can see color. And you have rods in the peripheral vision, and they see only in black and white, and they're not as good in daylight, but they're good in low light vision, and they're very good at spotting motion. So they're probably really good at helping you spot a predator sneaking up on you. I had wondered about this in the past because I see color throughout all of my vision, but the peripheral vision can't see color. So where was that color coming from? And I figured that the eye moves around and the brain pulls together all the information it knows, so it would plug in the color from this vision, from the central vision when it looks at it, even if it's currently in the peripheral vision. And I had tried to test my peripheral vision in the past to look at something that I hadn't seen with my central vision to see if it was in black and white. But whenever I tried to do this, I would always accidentally cheat. I didn't mean to, but it's really, really hard for me to not look at something I want to look at. If I want to see something, I turn my eyes toward it. That's how vision works. And so I would always accidentally cheat and see it with my central vision and mess up the test. So I thought to myself, aha, I can't cheat. I have this opportunity because I have no central vision at all in the right eye. All I have to do is look at an object I haven't checked yet today and I don't know the color of offhand, and then I can see if I can tell what the color is with my peripheral vision. So I tried to figure out an object that would work for that, and there was a soda can that I could tell was there for my peripheral vision, but I couldn't see clearly. So I went, perfect. I will try to see what color that soda can is. And looking at it, I felt like I had color vision, and the soda can looked to be red. So I thought, okay, I'll check it with my left eye and see how my color vision worked. And so I did that, and I was completely wrong. The can was green. I'm not red-green colorblind, so that doesn't explain it. And I figured that two things must have happened. One, my brain was guessing. It was using what's called top-down processing, where it takes what it knows about the world in general and uses that to guess about the sensory information you're given. And two, my default soda can in my brain is almost certainly a Coke can. I have been influenced by Coca-Cola marketing. I don't drink soda myself, so it's not like I drank a bunch of Coke or regularly drank Coke. It's just that I've seen so many ads throughout childhood, and apparently Coke is the one that stuck most firmly in my brain. Having seen that this was what was going on, I wanted to run some more tests with my peripheral vision while I had the opportunity, since I didn't know how long it would be until my central vision came back. So I once again looked at the world with my peripheral vision, and it was all in black and white. I had not been expecting that, but it's as if my brain, now having been shown that it didn't know what it was talking about, that it didn't know what colors things were, just decided to stop guessing for me. And so it was giving me the peripheral vision as I was actually seeing it. I thought that was really cool. I don't know if that would happen for other people or if that's just the way my brain reacted in this one incident, but the peripheral vision stayed in black and white. And so I went about my day with my new and disturbing vision and waited several hours, and the central vision did not come back. At this point, I started to get a little worried. I really didn't expect it to last that long, so I figured I should call my father. He's a doctor, I can tell him what's going on, and he can give me advice. So I did that, and he told me to go to the emergency room, and he asked me how long this had been going on for. And I told him since I woke up, and he seemed rather displeased at that answer. And I was just so surprised that he told me his immediate response was go to the emergency room. He was not the sort of person to overreact to medical problems. I was so used to rest in fluids as a child, and I knew this wasn't a rest in fluids problem, but I really didn't expect it to be a go to the emergency room immediately problem. He told me that my reasoning was sensible, that it probably was some sort of swelling in my brain, and that it probably would fix itself in time, and yes, I would need tests, and yes, it might be multiple sclerosis, and if so, I'm going to need treatment. But there was a small chance that I had a retinal detachment. And if I had a retinal detachment, then there could be ongoing damage, and I needed to get to an emergency room so that they could check it out, and there would be the potential for surgery. So I went to the emergency room and had an absolutely terrible experience that I might share in a different story. But I did get to see a doctor, and the doctor did not dilate my pupils, but did look in the eye. And he said that the eye itself looked fine. So he told me that it probably was idiopathic optic neuritis, which means probably some swelling in my brain and they don't yet know why. To which I kind of mentally sighed and was like, yeah, that's exactly what I figured. Thank you very much. But that I should see an ophthalmologist the next day, and that the hospital had arranged an emergency appointment for me, just so that they could rule out the possibility the problem was in the eye itself. So the next day I went to the ophthalmologist, figuring, well, let's just get this out of the way before the next step, which is likely an MRI. And the ophthalmologist dilated my pupil, looked in my eye, and said, "Oh, you have a retinal detachment." To which I asked, is it a subtle detachment? Because I was a little confused with why it was missed at the ER. And the ophthalmologist said, no, it's completely detached from the macula. And I thought about it and figured, well, that makes sense. The retina is the film of the eye. It's what lets you actually see things. The lens focuses the light, but the retina actually gets the signals. And if my retina were completely missing from the center of my eye, then I had nothing with which to see. So I learned at this point the importance of pupil dilation, very good for making sure that any problems are seen, and that I had been very, very foolish to ignore this problem because I really should have gotten medical attention immediately. As it turned out in my case, because my retinal detachment wasn't caused by trauma, and unbeknownst to me, had actually been building up for about a month. I hadn't realized that. I had seen flickering lights, but I had only noticed them when I was using my monitor. And I had just gotten a new computer monitor, so I kept complaining to my partner that my computer monitor was flickering, and he would check and he would tell me, no, it's not. And I told him, there's something wrong with it. I'm seeing it refresh. The refresh rate is wrong or something. And he said, no, it's not. You can't see it refresh. It refreshes faster than the human eye. It's not flickering. You're not seeing it refresh. And I just decided, well, what can I say? I'm seeing it flicker. He's not seeing it flicker. He tells me it can't be flickering, but I see it flicker. And so I just let the subject drop. He was right that it was not the monitor. It didn't occur to me that the flickering I was seeing was coming from my eye itself. I had no reason to suspect that, but now I know that flashing lights or flickering can be a sign of eye pressure, and in some cases, it's a sign of the retina detaching. Flickering lights can happen for a wide variety of reasons, and some of them are much less of a problem. So if that happens to you, don't immediately assume the worst, but it is really good to get your pupils dilated and checked by an eye doctor just to make sure that nothing bad is happening. Another warning sign is if you see new floaters. Floaters are the little dark spots that can float around in your eye, and it's common to have one or two and for them to just sit there. And they're not always a problem. A little dirt getting in your eye can cause a floater, but a new floater can be a sign of a problem because it can be a sign of a physical thing in your eye having detached and floating around. So those are the two big warning signs, and I had one of them. I just didn't know. But I was able to get retinal reattachment surgery. Unfortunately, in my case, for a couple of factors, one being that the eye had been having the detachment going on for so long, I did permanently lose most of the vision in the right eye. But I was able to get back some of the central vision and preserve the peripheral vision, so that was really good. And it wouldn't actually have made a difference if I had gone to the emergency room at the start of the day rather than later into the day in my particular case, but I could have had a situation where it was different. And especially if you have a retinal detachment caused by trauma, if you get hit in the head and lose vision, that's an immediate, go to a doctor, try to get surgery quickly, they can attach it quickly. That actually happened to a family member of mine, and I don't think he had any vision loss because he was able to get it reattached so quickly. So anyway, that was my weird little experience of waking up and having a medical emergency that I badly misjudged. And I hope you have enjoyed that story. If you liked it, please click like, and if you know someone who might be interested in it, please share it with them. If you want more similar content, subscribe, but most of all, I would really love to hear your comments if you've had any similar experiences, or if you have any questions, or if it made you think of anything. That would just be really great. Thank you.